Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Jones. It's October 22nd, Tuesday. It's actually an exciting day for us around here. It's when our new book, Megalodons, Mermaids, and Climate Change, drops today. So any bookstore where you order books from, you can pick that up. Just search for the title, and we're very excited about it. As a matter of fact, there's a episode of podcast, Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone, which is a very funny podcast. For some reason, they invited myself and my co-author, Dr. Ellen Prager, to be on to talk all about oceans and atmosphere. So if you get a chance, anywhere you can get podcasts, search for Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone, and it's on as of today. Well, take a look at the tropics. We do have Tropical Storm Oscar, at least for the next hour or two. It hasn't been too impressive. Once it emerged off the northeast coast of Cuba, it was really very, very ragged. There's a lot of dry air around getting entrained into the system, and it looks like it's fighting a losing battle over the central Bahamas. There are still some tropical storm warnings in effect to the south and east of the center, but that's the big problem. The latest report from the Hurricane Hunter aircraft are we can't find the center. It's very difficult to find, and that's making it tough for it to stay together. Whenever the center of the storm becomes elongated, stretched out by wind shear, it's almost curtains for any tropical system. But those of you who are rooting for Oscar to remain a storm out in the ocean, fear not. It's going to transition to a extratropical cyclone, a mid-latitude cyclone, and move its way on up towards the North Atlantic. I'll show you that in some of the model forecasts as well. But, you know, I mentioned the dry air, and this is the GOES satellite image. We're seeing this imagery every 10 minutes. And I want to highlight the dry air. We can do that by adding what's called the mid-level water vapor channel. And once I turn that on, you can see that dry air. It's really amazing what we can do with different channels on the satellite and put in and highlight different parts of the weather and the atmosphere that we're very interested in learning more about. And so here you go. Anywhere that you see this bright area, these brighter areas in orange and dark, this is very dry air. That means air is sinking, a sinking motion, and you don't get clouds to form when you have sinking motion. As a matter of fact, look at this, all the way up towards Pennsylvania and southeast Ohio. It's very dry, very dry. As a matter of fact, Atlanta hasn't seen a drop of rain at all in the month of October. If that continues, I think that's going to be the #1 driest October ever recorded in Atlanta. Many areas along the mid-Atlantic, all the way down towards northern Florida, haven't seen much rain at all. As a matter of fact, when we get to GeoCollaborate, I'll turn on the drought monitor. I'll have to remember to do that. But you can see here the center of Oscar is actually down here over the central Bahamas, and I'll show you that from the perspective of GeoCollaborate. Take the satellite loop full here just so you can take a look at this just over a couple of seconds here. Look how far the dry air extends out into the ocean, and these are high clouds. It looks like the storm is somewhere in here, but no, Oscar, the low-level center, is over the central Bahamas. And here is GeoCollaborate. This is what it looks like right now. You can see the green area. That's right here, these green dots. That is where the path of Oscar took before it was Oscar. It was just that low-level center. Remember that? And look, let's trace its roots all the way back to the African coast. So this was indeed a pretty vigorous African easterly wave, and it moved itself right across the Cape Verde Islands and then across the Atlantic. And remember, we were saying, well, it didn't look like it had much support at all. And then boom, many of the global models and hurricane models really didn't pick up on the strengthening of this system. It was really sort of on its way out. So there's going to be a lot of research done on why the models missed this particular storm, but it did develop into a tropical storm and then immediately into a hurricane, Category 1, making landfall on the eastern and northern tip of Cuba, Guantanamo province, and then just kind of hung out there, meandered around, and emerged last night around 6 o'clock in the evening, and now it's right here. And let's get a little bit closer. I can show you what it looks like from its initial wind field. This was the latest statement, advisory information, advisory number 14, 40-mile-per-hour winds with gusts to 50-mile-per-hour winds. However, since that last bulletin and statement were issued, the Hurricane Hunter aircraft have really had a tough time trying to find the center of the storm. They fly through and try to find the center, but the winds are not cooperating, which tells the hurricane hunters, hey, this thing isn't very organized. Looks like it's falling apart. And so it's going to continue its northeastward trek. It may be dissipated by the 2 o'clock afternoon advisory. That's in another hour or so. But down in Florida, you can see what's going on. We still have small craft advisories and coastal flood advisories and rip current advisories along the east coast of Florida. We showed you the images yesterday, the pictures from Daytona Beach. Those waves just kept rolling in and rolling in. A lot of beach erosion on the east coast of Florida because of those persistent winds. I think we're in like day 11 or 12 of those persistent northeasterly winds, all because of that high pressure system. We'll go back to the satellite loop here for a second. The reason that all of this air is so dry is because high pressure has really just been dominating this part of the atmosphere, this part of the eastern U.S. And at the surface, there are clockwise winds around a high pressure. So those clockwise winds are coming right in directly into Florida. And so that's why we have these small craft advisories, rip current advisories, and coastal flood advisories. So a lot of erosion there. And also you notice these green strips. These are flood warnings that continue in effect because of all the rain from Hurricane Milton. Remember, St. Petersburg and areas up here had 19 to 20 inches of rain. And so a lot of these rivers, they're still filled. They're only going down about maybe an inch per day, and there's still flooding going on. The Peace River coming down here, portions of the Peace River empty into Punta Gorda there and Port Charlotte, and then out into the Gulf of Mexico. So flooding still going on. Florida is a very flat state, and water does not drain very rapidly at all. So let me turn and show you what it looks like from the standpoint of the hurricane models. So I want to show you what it looks like from that forecast. And we had actually a question. There was a question here about the weather around Jamaica over the next 10 days or so. And, you know, I really don't trust these models out beyond about 5 days, particularly when it comes to tropical weather. But I'll show you over the next couple of days what it looks like is going to happen. This was initialized this morning at 12Z, which is about 8 o'clock this morning. And I'll just go through the time steps. What I want you to look at is the area here. This is Oscar and what's left of Oscar. And watch what becomes of Oscar over the next couple of days. Notice high pressure really dominating the Gulf of Mexico and the eastern U.S. Lots of sunshine, some high clouds there as well, but beautiful fall weather. But let's put this into motion here, and we'll see the Oscar loses its tropical characteristics. But look at this. It then develops into a mid-latitude cyclone. This is not with tropical characteristics because, look, it has a frontal system associated with it. It does not have the dynamics It's not feeding off of the ocean like a tropical system does. Not warm core in the center like a hurricane is. This is basically transitioning to what we call a cold core system, mid-latitude cyclone, but it gets pretty intense. Look at this. And then that combined with a high pressure over the Atlantic Ocean. Look how close these isobars are together. These are lines of equal pressure. So when you see them close together like this, it's very windy, incredibly windy. Huge waves. I wouldn't be surprised to see 20 to 30 foot waves in this area because of this storm approaching and developing in the mid-latitudes. And it will also generate wave action along the mid-Atlantic and the northeastern coast as well. So a lot of wave activity, and then strong northerly winds because you have counterclockwise winds around this low, but clockwise winds around the high. So it's going to get pretty breezy in New England over the next couple of days. And then as this low tries to move up, that high pressure system over Pennsylvania saying, nope, nope, you're going to move up to the east. That's what you're going to do because I'm going to settle in here. So a week's worth of dry conditions once again and sunny conditions along the Atlantic coastline, which is great for the recovery process from Hurricane Helene. Western North Carolina working very, very hard to restore water services in Asheville and to some of the other counties, and also repair bridges and roads that have been washed out. A lot of roads are opening, but a lot of major roads are still closed in Western North Carolina. So that's the remnants of Oscar moving up. Look at that off the coast of Nova Scotia, and we'll just take it a little bit further ahead, and you can see where it goes. Look at that. It dissipates and then goes inland, look at that, over in Europe. So it's going to impact Europe. Strong high pressure over here. And it's just incredible for what Mother Nature does with these weather systems. And they transition from tropical to extratropical. So the models, taking them out, I sort of don't believe it out towards here. This is 144 hours. You can see precipitation, and low pressure systems do like to form this time of year in the western and southwestern Caribbean Sea. And that's what we're going to keep our eye on down here, because the models do form in the future a low pressure system that tends to want to spin up into a tropical system, but this is way out here, November 2nd. So November 2nd, we have something that we're going to keep our eyes on. So I wouldn't believe something's going to develop here, but we will be keeping our eyes on the tropics. Even though hurricane season does end at the end of November, we tend to tail off in the season with the number of tropical cyclones that develop, but we will certainly watch any hints that any models are trying to develop a system. So that's what it looks like today. This is the tropical update, and I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications. This has been an update for the sensitive information sharing environment for the SISE. So we'll put this up on the SISE portal and we'll put it out through Signal so you can take a look. But the good news is Tropical Storm Oscar. I don't have much confidence it'll be Tropical Storm Oscar through the rest of today. I think it will dissipate, but then transition into that extratropical cyclone. And also just an interesting little mention for a future video, maybe tomorrow or the day after. I've been working with NOAA and getting some interesting video footage from the Hurricane Hunter aircraft as they were flying through Hurricane Milton. And I'm going to put a little video together describing the sea state, what it looks like when the Hurricane Hunters were flying at about 5,000 feet, looking down at the Gulf of Mexico when Hurricane Milton was approaching Category 5. That's when it had winds over 156 miles per hour. And they also released a couple of drones in the hurricane, and some of the winds that they recorded were just phenomenal, just amazing. So that's it for this update. Thanks so much for watching. Again, if you're interested in listening to the podcast, Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone. You can find it wherever you find your podcasts. Download episode, I think it's number 328, which was just released today, the 22nd. And also our book, Megalodons, Mermaids, and Climate Change, is available at any bookstore or Amazon, wherever you want to put. I really support local bookstores, so go into a local bookstore and pick up the book there. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you, and that's it for today. We'll talk to you tomorrow.